everyone, welcome to Wild Country Acres. Thanks for joining me today. Today I've got a few things that are going on. So this morning I ran some errands with a very dear friend of mine, came home, put away groceries, and got the fridge organized, somewhat wiped out, all that good stuff. And the next thing that I'm going to do that's on my to-do list today is a couple different things. And the first thing that I'm really excited about is I have a gallon full of heavy cream. I don't have anything that I am planning on making with this heavy cream because it has a date of today. And I know expiration dates, in my opinion, are a little flexible, but what I want to do, something that will take that heavy cream and I will be able to make something out of it and stick it in the freezer and I can use it for a really long time, is I'm gonna turn that heavy cream into butter. And I'll show you how I'm doing that. And then I'm also I have a whole bunch of bananas that I need to use up. And what I'm gonna do with those is something really cool too, and it's something that the kids like even better than store-bought, is I'm going to dehydrate these bananas and turn them into banana chips. And they will last for a really long time. No, they won't. They will get eaten very quickly, and I am okay with that. So I'm gonna bring you on my little escapades today while I make butter and banana chips. Interesting combination, but I'm going to bring you with me, and hopefully you can use it someday in your kitchen, or help somebody else out with this, pass this little tip on. So if you think so, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'm going to be coming with much more of these handy tips from my table, from my kitchen, directly to yours. So this is a really simple process with really simple required items. First, you're going to need 2 quarts at a minimum of heavy cream. And then you're going to need 1 or 2 pinches of sea salt, or you can leave it without if you don't want salted butter. You're also going to need a tea towel or a light towel, a stand mixer, a strainer, cold water, a spatula. And one thing that I didn't note on here is sometimes it's handy to have cheesecloth. So I'm just going to pour the heavy cream into my stand mixer here and attach the spatula. I'm sorry, not the spatula. I'm going to attach the whisk to the KitchenAid stand mixer. You can use a different type or brand. It's just the one that I have used for many, many years. Now I'm going to be sprinkling in some salt here. Just a little bit. You can play around with whatever level of saltiness you prefer. I'm most likely going to be using this in savory dishes and not baking. So I am going to do a small handful, a couple pinches. And then you just start the mixer. You're going to start off slow and then bump it up easily. You can see I'm bumping it up one more time. And you're just going to keep going. Eventually, your cream is going to look a little bit thicker moment by moment. And this is an exact time because I didn't want to spend a very boring video of only staring at a mixing bowl of cream. So here we go. Just going to get a little bit thicker, a little bit thicker. And here I'm probably going to be testing it pretty quick. I want to see the thickness of it. So I'm going to turn off my mixer, grab a spoon, and you will see the change in the texture. You can see it's really coating that spoon now. So here we go again. We're just going to keep mixing. And eventually it's going to be soft peaks is one of the technical terms. And then it's going to be hard peaks and it's going to turn into whipped cream, basically. This is how you would make whipped cream, except for you wouldn't be using salt. You'd be using sugar and vanilla. So now you can see it's very much thickened up. You could, if this was sweet, it would be delicious on all sorts of things. So I'm going to keep going. In essence, my KitchenAid is basically churning the butter. Well, the cream that will turn into butter. Now you can see here that I'm testing it again. It is really, really, really thick. A lot of times at this point in time, I'm going to scrape down that bowl to make sure that all of this mixture is getting the same attention and the same thickness, because a lot of times the thinner stuff will stick to the outside and you'll need to scrape it and start mixing once again. It's actually a pretty enjoyable process, and it's something that you can usually multitask on doing. Now, a lot of times the closer and closer I get to the components of this cream separating and the buttermilk separating from the solids, is I will take that towel that I mentioned earlier and just kind of drape it over the side. Be really careful so you don't get it stuck anywhere that you shouldn't, because it can change and separate on a dime and then you literally have buttermilk splattering like fireworks all over your kitchen. So you don't want that. So scraping the bowl again, because it's not quite there, but I can tell that it's starting to look a little bit grainier and it's getting really close. So I'm going to keep that towel on hand just in case, because then all of that buttermilk splatters to the inside of the towel, which you can wash and leaves your kitchen splatter free for the most part. All right, it's been a little bit. It's probably been a good 10-15 minutes so far, but now we're getting close. My towel must have fallen off, but we're really getting close. Oh, there goes back over the towel, because you can really see that buttermilk separating from the solids and creating that delicious butter, and it's splishing and splashing and making a mess. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it and peek. And the great thing about using this method too is when it's whisking like this in the stand mixer, you'll be able to tell when you're ready for business, when pretty much the majority of the butter is inside that whisk and creates like a ball. And I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like when it's getting close. You can see it's looking really chunky right now and it's starting to separate. I'm just going to give it a quick stir just to make sure that everything is the way it should be. And this is what it looks like. It's super duper close. Very, very close. You can see that buttermilk dripping off the edge. On goes the towel. I was just testing and feeling my mixer, because sometimes your mixer can get a little warm. So if it needs to take a little break, give it a little breather. Don't want it to overheat. So close. All right, we're just going to reduce the speed here a little bit because we are done. So you can see there's a big glob of butter in the middle of that whisk that you'll have to pick out with your hands, which is not a big deal. And you'll see all that beautiful buttermilk at the bottom. Side note, and you'll see this in a minute, don't throw away the buttermilk, please. Use it in something. Use it in coleslaw dressing. Use it in pancakes. Use it in so many awesome things. All right, now we have to give our butter a bath, because that buttermilk is fantastic, but if it stays in your butter, it's going to make your butter go rancid. And no one wants to waste butter, especially homemade butter. So here I am just picking it all out. I find that a metal bowl works best because it holds the cold water temperature better and cleans up easier. So just picking every little piece off that I can and putting it into ice cold water. You could put ice in here if you wanted to, but I didn't have any ice, which sounds odd, seeing that we're in Minnesota and have more snow than we need. So I'm literally just going to massage this butter, and you can see that the water has turned kind of a milky color. I'm going to massage this, and I'm going to do this over and over and over, and I'm not going to keep you on camera for the whole time, but I'm going to do this multiple times and get into all the crevices as much as I can until that water, for the most part, is pretty clear. And this right here is not even quite clear enough. It gets even more clear. So this is a beautiful color. And if I were to be using my own cream or somebody locally from their own cream, it would probably even be more yellow, because usually farm fresh cream like that is more yellow. Remember what I said before, don't throw out your buttermilk. Use it for pancakes, save it, strain it, put it in a glass jar if you have it. Use it for coleslaw, use it for banana bread. You can use it for so many different things, and it's fresh and it's thick and creamy, and it's just another ingredient that you get to use right from your own kitchen. Side note, it's snowing again. See, even my kids are sick of winter. Now all we're going to do here is we are going to line a strainer with a bowl underneath with some cheesecloth. You could probably leave the cheesecloth out if you would like, but I'm trying not to let any bits of butter drop through that strainer. And I'm just going to have my freshly rinsed butter, and I'm going to place it in there. And I had this whole thing piled up because we got a lot of butter. So I got done with all of my butter, cleaned up the kitchen, letting the butter sit in the fridge with that cheesecloth and in a strainer. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I am chopping up bananas. And I also vacated my kitchen. I'm now in my dining room because my daughter is making a cake, I think. You're making a cake? Hey, May, you're making a cake? Yeah? Okay. She's making a cake. Vanilla cake? Vanilla cake, I think. So what I'm doing right now is I am just slicing bananas about yay thick. That's probably a little thick actually. And I'm placing it on my dehydrator sheet. And this particular one, I think it's a Cabela's one. So thank you, Cabela's. Is more geared towards like beef jerky and things like that. So the racks have big gaps in there. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. So what I do is I put that white sheet on there, and I think that is for a different model and make of dehydrator, but it works because then you don't have things falling through. And I use the same thing when I dry and dehydrate small things like I need to stop saying like herbs is a good one. A whole bunch of other stuff. I've dehydrated many things. So, and bananas is one of my son's absolute favorites. And these bananas that we got are kind of seconds and not very pretty. They're close to being overly done. So we have some that are too mushy and that are really, really black. We could use those for banana bread. I already have a freezer full of bananas that need to become banana bread. So what I'm doing with the mushy, slimy bananas is I'm just going to feed them to our pigs because they are a fantastic way to utilize something that we are not going to eat, but we don't have to throw it away. You can also use banana peels for plants. I think you can soak them in water. I should really do something on that. How to make certain fertilizers at home. But you can use your banana peels for certain amendments to your soil for your plants too. But pigs, they're fantastic. They literally will eat anything. And the grosser, the better. They eat moldy stuff, not moldy stuff. The only thing that we have found that they really don't care for is onions and bell peppers, I think was it. Onions. Oh, and oranges. Oranges too. So right now I have 3 racks in my dehydrator of bananas. And I'm working on the 4th. And then I don't remember how long it takes. They're very moisture-filled fruit. So usually what I do with something like this is I'll just set it for longer than I know I think it's going to take. And then I'll just check on them periodically. When I go to bed, I'll check on them and I'll be able to tell if it's going to be another 10 hours or if it's going to be something like 2 hours more. And then it'll automatically shut off when it's done. So we'll have some snacks. And I think what you could do too is you could toss these bananas in like a citric acid water solution or lemon juice solution. We don't really care if they brown at all, so we just don't. We just dehydrate them as is, and they get a little darker in color, and they do not look like the store. They're like a little chewier. Like the ones that you find in the store, they must be baked, maybe? I don't know. But they're like crunchy. These are more like a leathery texture to them. But they're very good, and they're very sweet and nature's candy. So that is what we're doing. So I've got my bucket full of peels and grossness. It smells really good in here though, and I'm just going to finish this up. And I've got bread going on as well in the bread machine. Once that beeps at me, I will show you how that goes in the pan and my process for it. It's not a perfect process, and sometimes my bread doesn't turn out perfectly, but it always tastes delicious. So more to come. Check you later. Just to fill you in on a little bit of the details for the banana chips, here's what the rack looked like full. And then we filled up our dehydrator with roughly 9, I think there's 9 there. Took about 20 hours, as you saw before, and we ended up with a half gallon of banana chips.